There are a number of things I would like to say to any woman or girl who is watching this and who has suffered abuse or rape. And there are many of us.
Yeah.
1 in 5 women across the world has been raped. 1 in 3 women across the world has experienced violence because she is a woman, and sexual violence. The figures are horrendous. But we as women, as survivors of this abuse or victims of this abuse, have to take courage in the fact that this is a seemingly endless phase that humanity has been passing through, but the end is nigh, and we are a part of the movement that has to stop this for others and for future generations. It is our responsibility. And there is some comfort to be taken in turning darkness into light. Jyoti's father in the film India's Daughter speaks very movingly of how her sacrifice has been in order to dispel the darkness in the world, and her very name means light, to bring this torch, this beacon of light and enlightenment to the world. And we must all do that with our pain. And there is some comfort in the fact that it is not us. It is not our fault, because the world does try very hard. This patriarchal world with its male power, male entitlement, tries very hard to put the blame or the onus on protecting ourselves upon us. And this is iniquitous. This is evil, in fact. So the fact that there are so many of us yields a kind of perverse sense of comfort, if I'm talking to girls and women who have experienced it themselves. The very important thing I want to say is, do not, under any circumstance, keep it to yourself. I made the classic mistake all those years ago when I was raped. I'm ashamed to say I didn't report this man. I would report him now if I remembered his name. I don't. I kept it entirely to myself. I didn't even tell my best friend, let alone my parents or any family member. And I had no idea to what degree these demons from that trauma lurked beneath the surface, which is why when I set out on this journey to interview rapists, I had to be very cautious, because it occurred to me that I might even physically assault one of them. And I went through an entire process of practicing, ridiculous as that sounds, on other rapists that I knew I wouldn't be using their interviews for the film, in order partly to test myself and test my own reaction. And I have to tell you something that will surprise you and may even shock you. I was so convinced that I would feel the most intense anger sitting opposite these rapists. I didn't feel anger for 1 second of 31 hours of interview. And the reason for that was anger was not an appropriate emotion, because it is absolutely blindingly obvious and clear that these men have been programmed, and that the anger should be felt at society that hardwires them with these attitudes to women and that encourages them to do what they do in abusing us and violating our human rights. But it is utterly crucial, especially in any society, and there are many of them, in which a sense of shame or a sense of dishonor adheres to a rape survivor. We must place that shame and dishonor squarely where it belongs, with the men who perpetrate this violence and with the society that teaches and, I say, encourages men to perpetrate these violations of human rights of women and girls. So speak out, take the courage and the time and just deserts that you own to actually turn this negative into a positive. Speak out, demand justice. It's very difficult to go through a court case, but it's very important to do that, because this is how we are partly going to move the world on.